Hello friends and welcome to the world of Neocaridina Davidi shrimp. These tiny colorful shrimp are popular in aquariums, but their story goes beyond the tank. Today we'll cover their origins, their diet, when they were discovered, their evolution, and much more. Let's dive right in. We'll start with their origins and family. Cherry shrimp or Neocaridina davidi shrimp are part of the huge Athydidae family. Other shrimp that are part of this family are, for instance, Amano shrimp or Caridina multidentata, and this family contains approximately 850 shrimp species. Most of them live in freshwater, while some of them have a larval stage in the saltwater, for instance Amano shrimp. This is not the case for Neocaridina davidi shrimp though. Neocaridina davidi live their whole life in freshwater, and all of their stages, both youth and adolescence, happen in the freshwater. They belong to the genus of Neocaridina, which contains 26 species in total. The wild Neocaridina davidi shrimp are brown or greenish, and selective breeding has created amazing colors like red, blue, and yellow over the last years and decades. Let's talk a little bit about Neocaridina davidi's diet. These shrimps can generally be considered as scavengers. They feed on algae, biofilm, and decaying biomatter. They are called detritivores. That means that they are animals that feed on dead organic material, especially plant detritus. And in captivity, Neocaridina shrimp eat pellets or special shrimp pellets, blanched veggies. For instance, my shrimp love eating lettuce, but also blanched cucumbers and other vegetables. They also occasionally like to eat protein-rich foods and animal-based foods such as bloodworms or just normal dry fish food. The Neocaridina shrimps are really great at helping to keep your environment or your tank clean by constantly grazing, which is why I love keeping them. Neocaridina davidi shrimp were first described in 1904 by a French naturalist called E.L. Bouvier. They became hugely popular in the aquarium trade way later, almost 100 years later, so in the early 2000s, when breeders developed vibrant color strains. Today, there are around 13 different Neocaridina davidi shrimp breeds, such as orange sakura, red cherry, blue dream, or red riley shrimps. And what's very interesting and also important to understand in biology is that a breed is not like a species. Two different species cannot interbreed. That's how a species is defined by biology, right? So if you think about it, if you have two different breeds of Neocaridina davidi shrimp, so for instance, in my case, I had blue dream and orange sakura and red riley shrimp, put all of them in my tank, and after some weeks and months, they started to interbreed. And now you can see that some of the orange sakura offspring have translucent spots on their shells. And I think, but maybe you can give me your thoughts on that in the comments, that through crossbreeding between the different breeds or between the different strains, this new color pattern emerged, or new translucence pattern emerged. I think it happened between the red riley and the orange sakura shrimps, but maybe it's also due to the blue dream shrimp, or it was a random mutation. And it's interesting that there are 13 different Neocaridina davidi shrimp breeds. I think there are way more, but these are the official number of breeds that I found on the internet. And that there are so much more species, and each species has different breeds then again of shrimps. Let's talk a little bit about their phylogenetics and habitat. So the Neocaridina davidi shrimp are related to other Athydidae shrimps, and they are known for their filter feeding adaptations. They live in slow-moving waters, which are rich in leaf litter and vegetation. This provides them both food and shelter. That means that they actually eat the plant leaves that start to decay in the fresh water where they live. They adapt really well to different water conditions, which is unlike the Caridina shrimp, which are way more sensitive to water changes and to different water conditions. But for me, they are very easy to keep, very easy to breed also, and that's why I love keeping them. They were originally found in China and in northern Taiwan, and today they can be found all over the world in tropical regions where there's warm fresh water, which resembles their original habitat, which is quite often the case all around the world. And they are also known as an invasive species in some countries these days. Let's talk about their sexual dimorphism a little bit. So sexual dimorphism is the difference between males and humans in males and females in a species. And in Neocaridina Davidi shrimps, the females are bigger, rounder, and more colorful than males. And the females have a so-called saddle in their back. That's where their eggs develop, which is near their back, and the males obviously lack this saddle. So the tail of the males is usually smaller and lacks this saddle, and the males in general are smaller and less colorful than the females. When we take a deeper look at Neocaridina davidi's life cycle, the females carry their eggs under the abdomen for 3 to 4 weeks and always provide the eggs with oxygen. That's very interesting to watch actually. Pregnant Neocaridina davidi shrimp tend to hide in the dark. So if your female is not present for some time, for some weeks actually, doesn't necessarily mean that they are dead or that they are sick, but might mean that they are pregnant. If they feel endangered by predators, this will lead them to abandon their eggs. And that's very sad when this happens. This is often the case in the animal kingdom. However, when they breed or when they finally hatch the little shrimps, the hatchlings, they are mini versions of the adults. So there's no larval stage in the Neocaridina shrimp, which also means that they are quite easy to breed. They reach maturity within only 3 to 4 months, and this leads to rapid population growth in these shrimps. Periodically, the shrimp will shed its exoskeleton, which leaves an empty white ghost shell of itself, and this is often caught in plants or drifting around in the tank. And it is actually best to leave the shell in your tank because the shrimps will eat the old shells, and this way the minerals that are caught in this ghost shell are returned to the nutrient cycle and to the shrimp basically, so they can build their own shells again. There are some evolutionary pressures in the wild. So, for instance, predation is a big evolutionary pressure for these shrimp, environmental shifts, and also competition with other species for food, and also interspecies competition for food. And they adapted by simply fast reproduction. Just like guppies, they reproduce extremely fast, which means they have a very short time until they get mature, as I said before, and they just reproduce in almost any condition. And this leads them to thrive both in the wild and in captive settings, but this also means that in nature you have a population control by natural predators, but in captivity there is no such population control. And therefore, overpopulation needs to be managed somehow, and some people do this by selective culling. I don't do that. I do it rather with feeding control. So I feed them the same amount of food all the time, basically, and by that, automatically only the strongest shrimps reach adulthood. The other ones are eaten by the guppies and other animals that are in the tank, and probably also by the own shrimp. Although I do not know if they are cannibals actually. Also, you can add small predatory fish. I, for instance, heard that betta fish are supposed to make excellent tank mates for Neocaridina shrimp, but I have not tried this myself. So, that's everything I think you need to know about Neocaridina davidi shrimp. If you found this interesting, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more shrimp and fish related content. And if you found this video interesting, I will link a video about a guppy fish documentary here. And if you want to see a more recent video of Edgar's Fish channel, you can click here, and see you guys in the next video.